The stars looked different today. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the human ship New Horizon, watching space bend around them as they came out of faster-than-light travel. 3 months ago, Earth's deep space sensors had picked up signals from this part of space. The signals were clearly made by intelligent beings, but they were unlike anything humans had ever heard before. Jake was 35 years old and had spent half his life in space. He had seen many strange things, but today felt special. Today, humans might meet their first alien friends. "Sir, we're getting a message," said Communications Officer Ben Hayes. Ben was young, maybe 25, with bright eyes and steady hands. He had been working on alien languages for years, hoping for this exact moment. The main screen lit up with symbols that looked like flowing water mixed with starlight. Then, slowly, the symbols changed into English words. "Greetings, travelers, from the Blue World. We are the Zilani Empire. We have been watching your kind for some time. You may approach our space station. Come in peace, as we come to you." Jake felt his heart beat faster. The message was polite, even formal. But there was something else in it, something that sounded almost lonely. "Take us in, pilot," Jake ordered. As their ship moved toward the alien station, he wondered what they would find. The Zilani space station was beautiful and frightening at the same time. It was made of crystal and metal that seemed to grow together like a living thing. Lights moved through it like blood through veins. It was 10 times bigger than any human station. Dr. Lisa Park, the ship's scientist, pressed her face to the window. Lisa was smart, maybe the smartest person Jake had ever met. She studied alien life, though until today that had all been theory. "Jake, look at the energy readings," Lisa said, her voice full of wonder. "They're using power sources we can't even understand. This one station could power all of Earth for 100 years. As their ship docked, Jake gathered his team. Besides Lisa and Ben, he had brought Security Chief Matt Stone and Engineer Amy Foster. They were his best people, and he trusted them with his life. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. The air that came through smelled like rain, and something else, something sweet and strange. Then they saw their first Zilani. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, with skin that looked like blue glass. Her eyes were silver and seemed to hold all the sadness in the universe. When she moved, it was like watching water flow uphill. She was beautiful, but in a way that made Jake's chest tight with emotion he couldn't name. "I am Ambassador Kira Velthane," she said. Her voice was like music, but sad music, the kind played at funerals. "I speak for the Zilani Council. You are welcome here, humans of Earth." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Commander Jake Morrison. We're honored to meet you." Kira's silver eyes studied him for a long moment. Jake felt like she was looking into his soul. It should have been uncomfortable, but instead, he felt understood in a way he had never experienced before. "Come," Kira said. "The council waits to meet you." As they walked through the station, Jake saw more Zilani. They all had the same blue glass skin and silver eyes, but some were taller, some shorter. Some moved with authority. Others seemed to fade into the background. Jake noticed that the Zilani barely looked at each other. They moved like strangers even though they were clearly the same species. The council chamber was huge, with a ceiling that showed the stars outside. 12 Zilani sat in a circle, and in the center was the oldest-looking one Jake had ever seen. Her skin was darker blue, almost purple, and her eyes held centuries of wisdom and pain. "I am High Matriarch Seren Kalvos," the ancient Zilani said. "I have lived for 800 of your Earth years. I have seen the rise and fall of civilizations, but today I see something new. I see hope." Jake glanced at his team. Lisa was taking notes furiously. Ben was recording everything. Matt and Amy were watching for any signs of danger, but the Zilani seemed peaceful if sad. "We need to tell you about our people," Seren continued. "We are dying, Commander Morrison. Not from war or disease, but from something worse. We are dying from loneliness." Kira stepped forward to translate, though the matriarch seemed to speak English well enough. "Our people bond for life," Kira explained. "But we can only bond with certain others. It is written in our blood, in our minds. We call it the joining of souls. Like soulmates? Amy asked. Kira's eyes grew even sadder. Yes, but more. We cannot love freely like humans do. We can only love our perfect match, and many of us never find that match. Without the joining, we cannot have children. Lisa looked up from her notes. How long has this been happening? For 1,000 years, our numbers have fallen, Seren said. Once we were many. We filled dozens of worlds. Now we barely fill this one station and a few small colonies. Most of our people live alone, waiting for a joining that will never come. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. An entire species was dying from loneliness. It was the saddest thing he had ever heard. Why are you telling us this? He asked. Serene and Kira exchanged a look that seemed to carry volumes of unspoken words. Because, Seren said slowly, we have studied your species. Humans bond differently. You choose your mates with your hearts, not your blood. You love by choice, not by fate. And we believe, we hope, that this makes you special. The chamber fell silent. Jake could hear his own heartbeat and the soft hum of the station's systems. Outside the crystal walls, stars wheeled in their ancient dance, caring nothing for the drama unfolding in this small corner of space. We have a proposal, Seren said finally. One that could save both our peoples. Jake felt the weight of 800 pairs of silver eyes on him. The council chamber was so quiet he could hear the blood rushing in his ears. High Matriarch Seren waited for his response, her ancient face showing no emotion. What kind of proposal? Jake asked carefully. Seren stood up slowly. Even at her great age, she moved with grace. We have watched your species for 50 Earth years. We have seen how you love, how you choose your families. You do not wait for fate to decide. You decide with your hearts. Dr. Lisa Park leaned forward. You've been watching us for 50 years? Your radio signals, your television, your internet, Kira said softly. We learned your languages, studied your culture. We saw something that amazed us. What did you see? Amy Foster asked. You love anyone, Serene said. A human can fall in love with someone of any background, any appearance, any personality. You choose love. We cannot choose. We can only wait. Jake was starting to understand, and the understanding made his stomach feel heavy. You want us to help you learn how to choose love? No, Seren said. We want something much more difficult. We want you to help us create a new kind of Zilani, one that can choose love like humans do. The silence stretched on. Ben Hayes cleared his throat. I don't understand. How can we help with that? Kira stepped forward. Jake noticed her hands were shaking slightly. Commander Morris and Dr. Park, we have studied human biology as well as human culture. Our scientists believe that humans and Zilani can have children together. The words hit Jake like a physical blow. He heard Lisa gasp behind him. Matt. Stone's hand moved instinctively to his weapon, then stopped. Children, Jake said slowly. You mean hybrid children? Yes, Seren said. Children who would have Zilani intelligence and long life, but human hearts. Children who could love freely and choose their own families. Jake looked at his team. Lisa was scribbling notes frantically. Ben was staring at the ceiling, processing what he had heard. Amy was looking at the Zilani with new understanding. Matt was watching everyone, ready for trouble. You want us to start families with your people, Jake said. It wasn't a question. We want to ask some of you to consider it, Seren corrected. We would never force anyone, but yes, we hope that some humans might choose to bond with some of our people and create a new generation. Lisa looked up from her notes. What makes you think this would work? Humans and Zilani are completely different species. Kira moved to a wall panel and touched it. Images appeared in the air above them, showing DNA patterns and cellular structures. Our scientists have been working on this for decades. Human and Zilani genetics are more compatible than they should be. Almost like we were meant to find each other. That's impossible, Lisa said, but her voice was uncertain. Is it? Serene asked. In a universe of infinite possibilities, is it so strange that two species might complement each other perfectly? Jake stared at the genetic data floating in the air. He didn't understand the science, but he could see that human and Zilani DNA fitted together like puzzle pieces. How many Zilani would want to do this? He asked. Many, Kira said quietly. Most of our people have given up hope of ever finding their perfect match. The idea of choosing love instead of waiting for it. It's like offering water to someone, dying of thirst. But scary too, Jake observed, watching Kira's face. Yes, she admitted. Very scary. We have spent our whole lives believing in fate, the idea of making our own choices. It changes everything. Serene sat back down. We are not asking for an answer today. We know this is a big decision. We offer you time to think, to discuss with your people on Earth. Jake nodded. We'll need to talk to our government, our scientists, our families. This isn't just about us, it's about both our species. We understand, Seren said. But please know that we offer this proposal with hope, not desperation. We believe that human Zilani, children could be something wonderful. Strong and wise like us, but warm and loving like you. After the meeting, Jake and his team returned to their ship. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, Lisa broke the silence. Jake, if their science is right, this could work. But the implications... I know, Jake said. It would change everything, for both species. What do you think? Amy asked. Jake looked out at the stars. I think they're dying, and they're asking us to help them live. That's not something we can ignore. That evening, Jake couldn't sleep. He walked the corridors of his ship, thinking about silver eyes and blue glass skin. He thought about a species so lonely they were disappearing from the universe. He found himself in the observation deck, looking across at the Zilani station. As he watched, he saw a figure standing at one of the crystal windows. Even at this distance, he somehow knew it was Kira. The next morning, Jake received a message asking if he would like to tour the Zilani living areas. The message was from Kira. Jake found her waiting in the docking bay. She looked different somehow, less formal. Her silver eyes seemed brighter. I thought you might like to see how we live, she said, to understand us better before you make your decision. As they walked through the Zilani residential areas, Jake was struck by how quiet everything was. Zilani passed each other in corridors without speaking. They lived in small, beautiful apartments, but always alone. It's so quiet, Jake said. We are not social like humans, Kira explained. We bond deeply with our chosen mate, but with no one else. Most of us spend our lives waiting for that bond. How long have you been waiting? Jake asked gently. Kira stopped walking. She looked at him with those ancient, sad eyes. I am 247 years old by your counting. I have been waiting for my bond since I was old enough to understand what it meant. That's a long time to be alone. Yes, she whispered. It is. For the next week, Jake found himself spending more and more time with Kira. She showed him Zilani art, which was beautiful but cold, like winter made visible. She taught him words in her language that sounded like wind through crystals. And, slowly, she began to show him the person behind the ambassador's mask. They were sitting in Kira's quarters, looking at holographic displays of Zilani history, when Jake asked the question that had been burning in his mind. Kira, are you one of the volunteers for the program? Her silver eyes went wide, and for a moment she looked almost human in her surprise. How did you know? The way you talk about it, the way you look when Seren mentions choosing love. You want this, don't you? Kira stood up and walked to her window. Outside, stars wheeled in their endless dance. I have been alone for so long, Jake. Every day I wake up and wonder if today will be the day I feel the pull of my destined mate. Every night I go to sleep knowing it probably won't happen. Jake joined her at the window. But you're scared too. Terrified, she admitted. What if I choose wrong? What if a human chooses me and then regrets it? What if our children are unhappy, caught between two worlds? What if they're wonderful, Jake said softly. What if they have the best of both species? Kira turned to look at him. Do you really believe that? I think, Jake said carefully, that love makes people stronger, not weaker. And children born from love have a better chance at happiness than children born from duty. Something changed in Kira's expression. Her formal mask slipped even further. Tell me about human love, she said. How do you choose? How do you know? Jake thought about his parents, who had met in college and loved each other for 40 years. He thought about his sister, who had fallen in love with her best friend after knowing him for 10 years. He thought about all the different ways humans found each other. We don't always know, he said. Sometimes it happens fast, like lightning. Sometimes it grows slowly, like a tree. But the best human loves are built on friendship, on understanding, on choosing to care for someone even when they're difficult. Even when they're alien? Kira asked with something that might have been humor. Jake smiled. Especially then. Over the following days, Jake began to see Kira differently. When she thought no one was watching, she would touch the crystal walls and hum softly. When she was explaining something complicated, she would use her hands to shape ideas in the air. When she was tired, she would press her palm to her forehead in a gesture that was oddly human. Dr. Lisa Park had been working with Zilani scientists, studying the genetics of human-Zilani compatibility. She found Jake in the ship's lab one evening, staring at data screens. The science is solid, Lisa said without preamble. Hybrid children are not only possible, they're likely to be healthier and smarter than either parent species. But? Jake could hear the hesitation in her voice. But they'll be the first of their kind. They won't belong fully to either world. That's a big burden for a child to carry. Jake nodded. What do you think we should do? Lisa was quiet for a long moment. I think we should ask them what they want. The Zilani, I mean. Not as a species, but as individuals. What do they really want? The next day, Jake asked Kira if he could meet some of the other Zilani volunteers. She arranged for him to visit a gathering in one of the station's common areas. There were 12 Zilani there, all different ages and appearances, but all with the same look of quiet hopelessness in their silver eyes. When Jake entered, they all turned to look at him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. This is Commander Morrison, Kira said. He wanted to meet you. An older male Zilani named Torin stepped forward. You are considering our proposal? We're considering it, Jake said. But I wanted to understand what it means to all of you. A young female named Vera spoke up. It means hope. For the first time in my life, I might have a family. I am 600 years old, said another male, Dex. I have waited my entire life for my bondmate. The idea that I could choose someone to love. It's like being told I can fly. One by one, they shared their stories. Centuries of loneliness. Decades of waiting. Lives half lived because they couldn't form the connections that would make them complete. But aren't you afraid? Jake asked. Of bonding with aliens? We're more afraid of dying alone, Vera said simply. That night, Jake couldn't sleep again. He found himself back at the observation deck, looking across at the Zilani station. And again he saw a figure at the crystal window. This time he sent a message asking if Kira would like to meet him halfway, in the docking bay between their ships. She was there when he arrived, looking smaller somehow in the vast space. They stood together in the artificial gravity field, looking out at the stars. Kira, Jake said, if you could choose any human to bond with, what would you want them to be like? She was quiet for so long he thought she wouldn't answer. Then she said, kind. I would want them to be kind. And patient, because I will make mistakes as I learn to love freely. And brave, because this path we're choosing is frightening. Jake felt something shift in his chest, a recognition he hadn't expected. What else? Someone who sees me as more than just an alien curiosity. Someone who understands that I've been waiting my whole life to care about another person. And I have. So much love stored up inside me that I don't know what to do with it all. Jake turned to look at her. In the starlight, her blue glass skin seemed to glow from within. Her silver eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Kira," he said softly, "what if that person was me?" She stared at him, and Jake watched as the words sank in. Her composure, held so carefully for so long, finally cracked completely. Silver tears began to fall down her blue cheeks, and she pressed her hands to her face. "You would choose me?" she whispered through her fingers. "I already have," Jake said. "I think I chose you the moment I saw you trying so hard to hide how lonely you were." Kira's tears came faster now. She reached out tentatively and touched Jake's face with fingers that trembled like leaves in wind. "I don't know how to do this," she said. "Neither do I," Jake admitted. "But we can learn together." For the first time since he had met her, Kira smiled. It transformed her face completely, making her look young and hopeful and beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with her alien features. "Yes," she said, "we can learn together." The news of Jake's decision spread through both ships like wildfire. Within hours, Dr. Lisa Park approached him with her own announcement. "I've been talking with Torin, the Zilani scientist," Lisa said, her cheeks slightly red with embarrassment. "He's brilliant, Jake, and he's been alone for 400 years. I want to volunteer too." Jake wasn't entirely surprised. He had seen how Lisa's eyes lit up when she talked about Zilani science, and how Torin had started finding excuses to work with her every day. "Are you sure?" Jake asked. "I've never been more sure of anything," Lisa said. "Jake, these people have been waiting centuries for what we take for granted, the chance to love and be loved. How can we say no to that?" By the end of the week, 3 more members of Jake's crew had volunteered. Ben Hayes had connected with a young Zilani communications specialist named Zara. Amy Foster had found herself drawn to a quiet Zilani engineer called Nix. Even Matt Stone, the most cautious member of the crew, had begun spending time with a Zilani security officer named Kel. "This is happening fast," Jake told Kira as they walked through the Zilani gardens, a beautiful space filled with crystal trees that sang in harmonious tones when the wind touched them. "Too fast?" Kira asked, worry creeping into her voice. "No," Jake said quickly. "Not too fast. Just big. This is going to change everything for both our species." Kira stopped beside a fountain that sparkled with liquid that looked like melted starlight. "Are you having second thoughts?" Jake took her hand. Her skin was warm despite its crystalline appearance, and he could feel a slight vibration, like a tuning fork struck softly. "The only thing I'm thinking about is how lucky I am that you chose to trust me." High Matriarch Saren called for a formal ceremony to mark the beginning of the human-Zilani bonding program. The Great Hall of the station was decorated with both human flowers brought from Earth and Zilani crystal formations that changed color with the emotions of those nearby. Jake stood before the assembled crowd wearing his best uniform. Beside him, Kira wore traditional Zilani robes that seemed to be made of woven moonlight. The other human Zilani couples stood nearby, each pair looking nervous but hopeful. Saren raised her hands for silence. "Today marks a new chapter in the history of both our species. Today we choose love over fate, hope over fear, connection over isolation." The ceremony blended human and Zilani traditions. Jake and Kira spoke vows in both languages, promising to learn from each other, to be patient with differences, and to build something new together. When they exchanged rings, Jake's simple gold band and Kira's crystal circlet, the Zilani crystals throughout the hall flashed brilliant white, responding to the joy in the room. "You may seal your bond," Saren said. Jake had been nervous about this moment. Zilani bonding involved a brief mental connection, something humans had never experienced. But when Kira placed her hand on his forehead and he felt her mind touch his, it wasn't frightening. It was like coming home. For just an instant, Jake felt Kira's centuries of loneliness, her fear, her hope, and her growing love for him. And she felt his determination, his wonder at her strength, and his promise to spend his life making her happy. When the connection ended, both of them were crying. 6 months later, Dr. Lisa Park stood in the medical bay of New Horizon, looking at test results that made her want to dance around the room. "Jake, Kira, you need to see this," she called. Jake and Kira hurried in, followed by Lisa's bonded partner Torin. The Zilani scientist had become like family to Jake, always ready with a quiet joke or a piece of ancient wisdom. "The tests are positive," Lisa announced. "All of them. You, me and Torin, Ben and Zara, Amy and Nix, we're all expecting children." Kira's hand flew to her stomach. Jake felt his knees go weak. "All of us?" "All of us," Lisa confirmed. "And Jake, the genetic scans show something incredible. These children are going to be extraordinary. They have human emotional flexibility, combined with Zilani intelligence and longevity. They're going to live for centuries, but they'll be able to love and connect like humans do." Torin stepped forward, his silver eyes bright with tears. "This means our species will survive. More than survive. They will become something wonderful." 9 months later, Jake held his daughter for the first time. Elenavelle Morrison was tiny and perfect, with her mother's silver eyes but her father's smile. Her skin was pale blue like winter sky, and when she looked at Jake, he felt a brief, gentle touch in his mind, her first attempt at the Zilani mental connection. "She's beautiful," Kira whispered. She was tired from the birth but glowing with happiness. "She looks like both of us." "She's going to have the best of both worlds," Jake said, touching his daughter's tiny hand. Elena wrapped her fingers around his, and Jake felt his heart expand in ways he hadn't known were possible. Across the station, the other hybrid children were being born. Lisa and Torin's son, Marcus, had his mother's curiosity and his father's calm wisdom. Ben and Zara's twin daughters were already showing signs of extraordinary intelligence. Each child was unique, but all of them carried the same promise: the future of both species, combined into something new and wonderful. High Matriarch Seren came to visit the new families, moving slowly but with joy in her ancient eyes. She spent a long time looking at each child, touching their foreheads gently with one finger. "They are perfect," she told Jake. "I can feel their minds. So bright, so full of potential. They will be able to love anyone they choose, but they will also have the wisdom and strength of the Zilani. They are the future we never dared to hope for." As the months passed, more human ships arrived from Earth. The success of the first bonding program had inspired hundreds of volunteers. Zilani from other colonies began arriving as well, hope replacing the despair that had defined their species for so long. Jake often stood in the nursery, watching Elena sleep. She would grow up in a universe where love was a choice, not a burden. She would live for centuries, but she would never be alone unless she wanted to be. She would be strong like her mother and adaptable like her father. "What are you thinking about?" Kira asked, joining him beside their daughter's crib. "I'm thinking about how one question changed everything," Jake said. "When you asked us to help save your species, you saved ours too. You taught us that love really can cross any boundary." Kira leaned against him, solid and warm and real. "We saved each other," she said simply. Outside the station, new ships arrived daily. Human ships full of volunteers, Zilani ships full of hope. The future was being written in the laughter of hybrid children and the tears of joy from two species learning to love without limits. Elena stirred in her sleep and smiled, dreaming dreams that belonged to both the stars and the earth.